Once you get good at getting women, you're going to go through a period of bed hopping. Bed hopping, quite simply put, means, hopping from bed to bed, fucking different women. Yeah. And every guy goes through such a period. Okay? And it's usually a function of the fact that the guy's life is going really, really well. His life is going well. He is exuding confidence, and that confidence, coupled with the fact that by this stage of his life, he's probably learned quite a bit of game. And so he knows how to handle girls, he knows how to get them in the sack, and by sheer practice, he's gotten to the point that it just becomes, almost but not quite rote. Well, then he's going to go through a period of bed hopping. I went through such a period. Yeah, when I was, when I was like 29, 30. Yeah, I moved to New York City, and I got myself a place in Lower Manhattan. And, long story short, the pinnacle of my bed hopping was 1 week, over 7 consecutive nights, I banged 7 different girls, and they were all hot. They were all hot. 3 of them were models, and one of them was in the 1998 or 1997 Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Yeah, one of those 2 years. I forget which one, but of course I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'm bragging a little bit, yeah, but you see, there's a reason I'm bragging, because it was a high point of my life. The years between roughly 98, 99 and 2005, God damn, did I slay a lot of pussy. Oh yeah, I just hopped from bed to bed to bed. I mean, it was like a non-stop thing, kind of. And on top of that, I was at a stage in my career where I was very focused on my goals and my ambitions. I had no real interest in having any kind of long-term relationship with any woman, right? And so that fed into this habit of bed hopping. And every guy goes through such a period. Every guy goes through such a period. Every guy, how could I put it? Especially if he has not had success with women during a period or portion of his life. Especially when he was bad with women in his teens, early 20s, even mid and late 20s. It was just, shit at women, right? Once he starts getting good, oh man, it's just holy shit, just bang, gang, bang, 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 bang. And so I'm not knocking it, okay? And I'm not, moralizing about it, about bed hopping. It's a thing that guys go through. Like I said, especially if you've been sexually unsuccessful. You just go through the stage of bed hopping, and it's fun, no question about it, or else you wouldn't go through such a period, right? But what happens is that after a while, you're going to start to realize how empty it really is. Yeah, because you see, once you master game, once you understand that the sexual dynamic between a man and a woman is very mechanistic, it's really an algorithm. And once you have mastered that algorithm and can effectively get any woman you want into bed, then the issue becomes, well, what can I get that's more than just sex? And you're going to start to want more from a woman than merely a good lay. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is that you're going to get to a point, and those of you who are not sexually successful at this point are not going to believe me, but I will tell you. You will get to a point in bed hopping where all of a sudden, one night, you're going to say, rather than fuck some girl, I'd much prefer to read a book and, have a nice cup of tea and go to bed at a reasonable hour. You are actually going to say that, or words to the effect, of course, yeah? And you who are not that sexually successful, you can't believe it, but that will happen to you. That will happen to you, and it's a sign. It's a sign that you've grown up. It's a sign that you are ready for a real relationship with a woman. It's a sign that you're ready for something more than merely sex. Now keep in mind, when I say this, that you're ready for something more than just sex, okay? I'm not talking about having some fucking empty relationship with some woman who's gonna fucking tyrannize you. No. When I talk about having a relationship with a woman, it's with a purpose, and that purpose is children. If you are not embarked on a relationship with a woman, and the objective is ultimately having children and forming a family, then the relationship is, trivial or doomed. There's no other way to look at it. These people who get married and who say from the get-go that they're not going to have children, they just want to be married, you're going to wind up being fucking roommates. You're not going to have any common goal, common purpose. Children had together, not stepchildren. Children that you have with a woman, they give you a common purpose, a common goal. They give you a satisfying relationship with a woman, a truly satisfying, long-term satisfying relationship with a woman, okay? I mean, this idea that you're going to get married to somebody and never have children and you'll just be happily ever after, that's absurd. Because what happens is that after a while, people change, their interests diverge, and once that starts to happen, a relationship or a marriage without children is ultimately going to start to fall apart, no matter how much effort both of the people put into it, okay? I mean, you got to understand this. And so that's why children are so important, because no matter how much you and your wife or woman change, if you have children in common, you're always going to have this central goal in common. The central goal being, of course, having your children flourish, having them succeed in life, okay? And so if you have children with a woman, that is a serious relationship. That is the ultimate goal of your life, because it will give you happiness. It will give you happiness because it does. It makes men happy. It makes them more focused. It gives them direction. But before you can get to that, you got to get through this stage of bed hopping. Yeah. Now, by its very nature, the relationships that you have in this bed hopping phase are going to be transitory. I mean, they're going to be mostly one-night stands or maybe weekend stands or something like that, okay? I mean, something short-term. When you're bed hopping, you're just nailing pussy, right? And you got to get it out of your system. You got to get it out of your system and don't really worry about it, okay? I know guys, and I'm not kidding about what I'm about to say, I know guys who get all like guilt-ridden about this shit. They're like, oh, you know, I'm having so much meaningless sex and it's so awful and blah, 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 and I feel so bad and guilty and, you know, I'm being a bad man. Fuck that noise. I mean, if you're presumably fucking, you know, adult women with their consent, why are you guilty? Why are you feeling guilty? This is stupid, okay? Don't. They are adult women. They have their own agency, yeah? I mean, they're not like retarded or otherwise incapacitated somehow, yeah? They're perfectly fine and healthy, and they decide to fuck you and just fuck you for one night and then, you know, that was that. Dude, why are you feeling guilty? But there are guys who perversely feel all guilty about it. I personally don't understand it, okay? I don't understand it at all because, I mean, if the woman is consenting to sex with you, and she has no expectations, and you have not made any kind of promises of, you know, future expectations, and, you know, then what the fuck is the problem? Just enjoy yourself, for crying out loud. But setting aside that fact, you know, bed hopping, fun as it is, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna find yourself, though, that you're gonna be spending an awful lot of time in this period of bed hopping, you know, going through the logistics of fucking all these girls. That's gonna be the big problem, okay? And be careful, okay? You go through a period of bed hopping, and most guys will go through at least one such phase. I, myself, went through actually two distinct phases between the ages of 30 and 37, I wanna say. And then later between the ages of 42 and 49, okay? You go through these distinct stages of bed hopping, and usually, how can I put this? Okay, number one, it's gonna take a lot of time out of you, because a lot of time of just chasing all this pussy, it takes time. It takes time to find the girls, to convince them to go to bed with you and what have you, and the relationship of itself, of managing the relationship with these women. And some of them you want to keep around longer than others. Sometimes, you know, once is enough and you want to get rid of her, whereas other times some girl, you know, you're interested in having her around a bit longer, right? But all of this takes time, a lot of time. Okay? And so you got to be careful, because sometimes, as happened to me, you can start disregarding the work that you're doing, not paying attention to the work that you're doing, losing sight of the things that are important in your career or your profession or your business, okay? This happens all the time, so you got to be careful. But see, a lot of times, this period of bed hopping, it indicates that you are lacking something in your life. Okay? It could be, like I said before, that you're making up for lost time, right? You were sexually unsuccessful and you finally mastered game and you got good at game, and so all of a sudden, you started going out there and making up for lost time. Yeah, that could be one thing that's going on. But the other thing that can be going on is that you could go through a period of bed hopping because you're trying to avoid an unhappiness in your life. Now, this happened to me actually in both periods when I was like bed hopping, when I was, like obsessively chasing women and fucking all kinds of women, just bang, bang, bang away. And both times it was because I was extremely unhappy with my professional life. And I was, in a very real sense, trying to drown my sorrows in pussy. Yeah, I was unhappy in my life. And so it's not that I took it out on women. Don't be absurd. What I mean is that, see, I started to chase women as a way to avoid having to face the problems in my professional life. It was easier to go after girls. It was much easier for me to go up to some Victoria's Secret model and sweet talk her and get her into bed than to deal with the problems I was facing at work, you see? And that happens all the time. And I've noticed other guys that have done this, okay? So figure out what's going on in your life. Figure out, once you find yourself in this bed hopping phase, figure out why you're doing it, why you're obsessively chasing girls. Because if it's, making up for lost time, that's all good and fine. I actually think that that's like a good reason to be bed hopping, okay? Sort of like to get it out of your system, yeah? To get out the feeling of failure that you had before with that feeling of success you have by scoring girl after girl after girl, right? That's actually fine. But if you find yourself, as I found myself twice, chasing girls obsessively because I was unhappy with my professional life or some other very important aspect of my life, then you should stop. You should stop bed hopping, take a step back, and face the music. Face the thing that you're avoiding, okay? Because obsessive women chasing is always a symptom of a lack of something. Like I said, where you're making up for lost time, that's actually healthy. But when you're chasing women obsessively in order to avoid something important in your life, that's bad. That's something that you shouldn't do. Okay? And I'm not saying it for some moralizing reason or like, oh, you shouldn't use women or some shit like that. Fuck that. I'm saying it in a practical sense. In a practical sense that it'll be beneficial to you. You want to be facing the problems of your life and not denying them, sublimating them by way of pussy. Okay? Okay. Hope this helped.